back to day 2 of the full stack laundry application build. So in this video, we will be integrating Firebase into our application. Okay, so basically we will be storing all of the data that is coming inside a home screen from Firebase and then fetching all of that data. Okay, and we will also be logging in users and registering users in Firebase, and we'll be storing the user information in our Firestore too. Okay, so if you find this interesting, please hit the like button and also subscribe for more such content. Okay, so I think let's get started. So we have not designed the login screen and register screen so that we can log in and register users. So I think let's do that part right now. So I'm gonna create two screens, one for the login. So I'm gonna say login screen.js and rnfes to get the shorthand snippet. Okay, so to get the shorthand snippet, you need to have installed ES7 inside your system. Okay, so if you check out your extensions tab, so this is the one. Okay, so make sure you install this one, and I'm also gonna create my next screen, that is my register screen. Okay, so again rnfes. So now I'm gonna include my login screen, right? So I want it to be the first screen inside my stack navigator so that we can see it right now. Okay, so I'm just gonna say stack.screen. So the name is gonna be, let's say, login. Okay, and component is gonna be login screen. Over here also I'm gonna give the options of header shown as false. So let me import my login screen from the screens folder as such, like this. So now if I save the file, you should be seeing the login screen on the simulator because that's the first screen we have included inside of our stack navigator, right? So let me save the file. Okay, nothing has happened. Let's refresh the app and begin it from the start. Hopefully now you should see the first screen as the login screen because that's what we have initialized in the stack navigator as the first screen. So let's check it out. Yeah, so there you go. You can see the login screen right at the top. So we're going to make use of a safe area view because the text is almost touching our top status bar, right? So I'm going to say safe area view. So let me use it instead of the normal view that they've given. Save the file. Okay, so here let's start designing our login screen. Okay, so this is our login screen. Towards my left and towards my right is my register screen. So both of them are pretty similar except that we have a phone number attribute over here. Okay, so let's start building up the login screen. So the first thing, I'll be giving style to the safe area view. So I'm going to give a flex of 1 and a background color of, let's say, white. I'm going to say align items of center and a bit of internal spacing, that is a padding of 10. Okay, so let me remove this piece of text, that is login screen. So now I'm going to initialize my keyboard avoiding view. Okay, I'm going to import it from React Native as such, like this. Okay, so inside my keyboard avoiding view, I'm going to write in my first view. Okay, so the reason I'm using keyboard avoiding view is that, so if at all we have an input on our simulator, and if we start typing on the input, in some cases the keyboard that opens up overlaps the input that is present. So for that reason, I'll be making use of a keyboard avoiding view to prevent that. So the first thing inside my view is these two texts that are present. So I'm gonna say text and text. So the first text is gonna say sign in. Okay, this is gonna say sign in to your account. Okay, so we're gonna give some text to the view. We're gonna say style. We're gonna give a justify content of center and align items of center and a bit of spacing on the top, that is a margin top of 100. Okay, so save the file. Yeah, so you can see that coming. Okay, so the next thing is we're gonna give the style to the text. Okay, that purple color. So I'm gonna say style. So I'm gonna give a font size of 20 and color of 66 2D 91. Okay, and save the file. Let's give some font weight to it of 600, or let's make it bold. Yeah, I think that's looking better. So the next thing is I'm gonna give the style for the second piece of text. So I'm gonna say a font size of 18 and some bit of margin top because it's almost touching the top text. So I'm gonna say margin top of 8 and I'm gonna give a basic font weight of 600. Okay, so save the file. Yeah, so you can see that coming. So the next thing I'll be initializing is the input fields, right? So I'm gonna say one more view. Okay, so to this view I'm gonna give margin top of 50. Okay, so whatever I start writing in the next view, it's gonna start from a spacing of 50 from the top. Okay, so I'm gonna say view. So here in this view I'm gonna render my icon as well as my text input. So firstly let's go get my icon. So that's gonna be an email icon. So I'm gonna head over to Chrome and search for expo.icons.fii, the first link, and I'm gonna search for email. So we're gonna use this one, the outline one. So firstly import the icon family like this. Okay, and we're gonna copy the render component code as well and paste it over here. Okay, so the next thing we have is basically our text input. So we're gonna say text input as such. We're gonna import the text input from React Native over here. All right, and yeah, let's save the file. So you can see the icon and the text input. Okay, so we're gonna give the placeholder for this. So it's gonna have a placeholder of email. Okay, and the next thing I'm gonna give is the style for this. So it's basically gonna have a border bottom width of 1 and I'm gonna give a border bottom color of gray and some initial width to it, that is 300, some margin vertical of 10. Okay, so let me save the file. Yeah, so you can see that coming correctly. So I'm gonna format it once like this. So now I'm gonna say style and basically flex direction of row and then align items of center. Okay, and for the text input let me give some margin left of 10 or 13. Okay, so currently the fonts, this is super small, that is the placeholder. So we will design that when we initialize the input fields, that is when we track whatever the user is typing inside of the input field, that we're going to do it. Okay, so now I'm going to say placeholder text color is going to be black. Okay, so there you go. So the next thing we'll be looking into is the second part of the view. So I'm just gonna copy this view and I'm gonna paste it over here. Okay, so instead of email, this is gonna be password. And let me get the icon also. So I'm gonna head back over here. So I'm gonna take the key icon. Okay, I think it's outlined. Yeah, so this one from Ion Icons. So import the icon family and paste it over here. And next is render component code again. So I'm gonna paste that instead of the material icons. So save the file. So there you go, you can see both of them. Okay, so as I told, the font size of the placeholder is a bit low, right? So for that, firstly, let's track in whatever the user is typing. Okay, so for that we'll be making use of state. So I'm gonna say const email comma set email equals to use state. I'm gonna provide a empty string at the initial state. So I'm gonna import use state from React. So the next thing is for the password. So I'm gonna say const password comma set password equals to use state of again and empty string at the start. Okay, so now I'm gonna give the value to the text input. Okay, so there is something called as value. So I'm gonna say value is gonna be equal to whatever is present inside our email, that is this state. Okay, and next thing we have is the on change text. So each time the user types in something on the input field, our state needs to be updated. So for that reason, I'm going to say on change text. Okay, so I'm going to set the email to whatever the user is typing inside. Okay, so by doing this, whatever the user types, it is stored inside of our state, that is in this variable email. Okay, so let me save the file. Right, so the same thing I'm going to do for my next field, that is the password. So I'm going to say value equals to password like this. The next thing we have is on change text, taking the text value and set the password to be the text. Okay, and we also need to give the secure text entry for this, for the password, so that it shows the dots when we enter the text. Okay, so I'm going to say true. So just for checking that out, there you go, you can see that working. Okay, so let me save the file. I think there is a lot of space over here as well, so let's give more margin vertical to the second one, that is 20. Okay, so the next thing is, as I told, we are going to increase the font size for this. So I'm gonna come to the style over here. I'm gonna say font size. I'm going to apply a condition. Okay, I'm going to check if this password value is there or not. If the password value is there, then it's going to be 18, else also it's going to be 18. Okay, so there is no, I think, such prop for changing the style. Okay, like placeholder text color, there's I don't think there's nothing called as placeholder font size to increase the font. So I think you can do this way. So let me save the file. So there you go, that has increased. So the same thing, I'm going to do that for my email one. So I'm going to say email, if it's present, I'm going to want 18, the font size of 18, else also I'm going to want again 18. Save the file. Okay, so you can see the font size being increased. So that's the way apply the condition and increase the font size. So the next thing is our button. So that's gonna come over after this view. So I'm gonna say basically pressable. Okay, so let's import pressable from React Native. So the first thing inside the pressable, I'm gonna write the text which says login. Okay, so firstly let me style out the pressable. So I'm going to give a basic width of 200. I'm going to give a background color to this, so it's going to be 006b2. Okay, save the file. Okay, that is not being applied. Okay, so let me just get any blue background color for it. So I'm gonna say blue shades. of CSS. So let's pretty much take any one of this and paste it over there. Okay. Yeah, I think that is okay, not bad. So the next thing I'll be looking into is I'll be providing some padding, some internal padding of 15, okay, and a slight border radius to make it look circular, and I'm gonna give a margin top of 40. I'm gonna say a margin left of auto and a margin right of auto as well. So save the file. Okay, so for the text I'm gonna give this style. So I'm gonna say a font size of 18, a text align of center, okay, and the color is gonna be white. Yeah, I think that's looking good. Okay, I think we needed a dark background color actually, so I don't know the exact color code for that. I think, yeah, I think even this is good. I'm just checking if I have the same piece of color code. Yeah, never mind, I think we can continue with this itself. Okay, so after that we have is a piece of second pressable that is gonna say if you don't have a account you can sign in, right? I mean sign up. So I'm gonna say don't have a account, then sign up, something like this. Okay, so I'm gonna give some style to this, a bit of margin top of 20, and I'm gonna give some styling to the text. So I'm gonna say a text align of center and a font size of 17 and a color of gray, also a font weight of 500. Yeah, so you can see that being applied. Okay, so the next thing is we are gonna go into the register screen. So firstly let's initialize a register screen inside a stack navigator. So I'm gonna say stack.screen. so the name is gonna be register, component is gonna be register screen, and over here also header shown is gonna be false. So pretty much save the file, import register screen from the screens folder. Okay, and let's come back to my home screen, and I'm going to initialize my navigation so that if I press on this particular pressable I need to be navigated to the register screen. So I'm going to say const navigation equals to use navigation. Okay, something else got imported like this. Okay, so let me initialize the on press event on my pressable, right? So I'm going to say on press over here. So on press, so it's basically going to take in a function. I'm going to say navigation dot navigate. So to the navigate method we will be providing the name of the screen we want to navigate to. So if you check out my stack navigator, the name we have given is register. So I'm going to copy that. So I'm going to say navigation.navigate to the register screen as such. So save the file. So let's give it a try. So there you go, we are being navigated to the register screen. So I'm gonna again make use of a safe area view inside my register screen, and instead of the view I'm gonna copy this value. Okay, so again I'm gonna give the same piece of styling that is for the safe area view. It's gonna be super similar, both of these screens. Okay, so after that I'm going to initialize my keyboard avoiding view. So let's import this from React Native and not from this dependency. So I'm going to paste it over here. Okay, let's remove this out. So inside my keyboard uploading view, let's check out our login screen. Let's copy the first view, okay, which contains two texts. So even if you check out our register screen over here, it contains pretty much two texts, that is register and create a new account. So I'm going to do the same thing. So save the file. So now let's make the changes. So instead of sign in, I'm going to say register, and this is going to say create a new account. Okay, so let me save the file. Okay, so after that we have is, I'm going to again copy the entire view, that is with the margin top of 50. So I'm going to paste it right after this view. Okay, so now I'm going to make changes. So firstly, let me get my, okay, this is going to be same, that is email and password. So one new thing is we need to add the phone number to this. Okay, so before that, let me import my icons as well from the previous screen, that is material icons as well as the ion icons. So pretty much paste it over here, this one as well. Okay, and I think we need even pressable and a text input also. Okay, so let's check if we need anything else. I don't think. Save the file. Okay, can't find email, so let's initialize our state for email as well. So we're going to say const email comma set email equals to use state, imported from React, and we're going to provide an initially empty string. And the second one is for our password, so we're going to say const password comma set password equals to use state, again initial state of an empty string. Save the file. So there you go, you can see both of them being initialized. So now we need another text input for the phone number, so I'm going to initialize the state for that as well. So I'm going to say const phone comma set phone equals to use state of an again empty string. So I'm pretty much going to copy this thing again. You can copy any one of those. Okay, so now let's make the changes. So for the placeholder, I'm going to say phone. Okay, and let's keep this to be 10. All right, and okay, it's going to say phone number. So now let me get the icon for the phone, right? Let's go over here and search for phone. Yeah, so let's take it from feather. So import the icon family first into our code like this and render the component. So instead of the password, instead of the key icon, I'm gonna paste it right over here. Yeah, so there you go. So now instead of the login, it's gonna say register. Okay, and instead of don't have account, it's gonna say already have an account, then sign in. Okay, so I'm going to again initialize my navigation. Okay, so I'm going to say const navigation equals to use navigation, imported from React Native, React navigation. Okay, and whenever the user presses on already have an account, sign in, he should be navigated to the next screen, that is not the next screen, the previous screen, that is the login screen itself. So I'm just going to say navigation dot go back like this. So if I press on this, I'll be navigated back to the screen. Okay, so again, if I press on don't have an account, sign up, I'll be coming to the register screen. Okay, so that's the way this works. I think we have not given the value for this. Okay, it is given, we need to just make the changes. So it's going to be value of phone and set phone of the text. Okay, so I think, yeah, we have stored all of the things that the user types instead of state, that is in 3 variables: email, password, and phone. So the next step is we're gonna create a new project inside of Firebase, and we will be implementing the functions for login as well as register. Okay, so let's do that part. So now let's head over to Firebase and then create a new project over there. Okay, so I'm going to Firebase, okay, on my Chrome, and I'm gonna go into the console after logging in with a Google account, and I'm gonna say add project. Okay, so here we need to add a project, so I'm gonna give a project name, let's say a laundry application, something like this, and I'm gonna press on continue. Okay, and I'm not going to enable this, so create project. So this is going to take some time and initialize a project, and it is going to give us a Firebase config, okay, which we will import it inside our application and initialize our auth and as well as our DB. Okay, so let's wait for this to initialize and install. Okay, so it has been initialized, so I'm gonna press on continue. Okay, so now we are gonna create a new app, so just press on the web app, this one. So if you go over here, just press on this one, and I'm gonna give the same name. Okay, so I'm just gonna say register app. So this should give now the config. Okay, so let's wait. Okay, yeah, so this is the config that it has given for this particular application. So I'm pretty much gonna copy this, and I'm gonna say continue to console. Okay, so hopefully it should have been initialized the app, as you can see. So if you go to project settings, yeah, so there you go, it has initialized the app, right? So the next step is to install Firebase. Okay, so let's come to VS Code, open up a new terminal. So now over here I'm gonna say yarn add Firebase. I'm gonna install, let's say, a specific version from version 9, that is this one. So okay, so I'm gonna press enter. So this should install this specific version of Firebase into our package JSON. So let's give it some time. Okay, so if you just check out the package JSON, you can see that Firebase has been installed with the version which I have given. Okay, that's version 9, right? So the next thing we are going to do is we are going to create a firebase.js file at the root level. So I'm going to press on app.js, new file, firebase.js. So I'm pretty much going to copy the config, that is this one. Okay, come back to my code, paste it over here. Okay, so other than this, we want the auth and we want the DB as well. So I'm gonna write in my auth, so I'm gonna say const auth equals to get auth. So basically I'm gonna import get auth from Firebase as such. So let me remove all of these things that is not required. Okay, so I'm basically gonna say import get auth from Firebase / auth. Okay, so after this we want is our DB. So I'm gonna say const DB equals to get Firestore. So I'm basically gonna import this as well. So I'm gonna say import get Firestore from Firebase / Firestore. Okay, so the next thing is I'm gonna export the values. So I'm just gonna say export the auth as well as the DB. Okay, so that's it about the firebase.js file. So let me save the file. Nothing should have happened. Okay, so now let's come back to our login screen, or firstly the register screen. Okay, so when the user presses on the register button, we're gonna store the users inside of our Firestore database. Okay, so for that, let's first initialize our database as well. So I'm gonna go into my build. Firstly, let me initialize authentication as well. So I'm gonna press on get started. So we have different kinds of authentication providers that we can include in our app. So I'm gonna just include the first one, that is email and password. I'm just gonna say enable and save. Okay, so that has been enabled. So now I'm gonna go to again build, and I'm gonna go to Firestore database. Okay, I'm just gonna say create database. We're gonna say start and test, and we're gonna press enable. Okay, what is this? Cannot enable Firestore for this project. Let's again press enable. Okay, that's weird. Let's just refresh once. Yeah, there you go. It has been created with the same one, I guess, right? Yeah, so over here we'll be storing all of our users, right? So I think, yeah, both of them has been initialized, that is the authentication, email and password, and the cloud Firestore. So now let's go back to our code. Okay, and we are going to the register screen, and we're going to create an on click event on the register button. Okay, so I'm going to say on click, sorry, on press equals to register. Okay, so now I'm gonna initialize the register function right at the top over here. Okay, so I'm gonna say const register equals to a basic arrow function. So over here, first we're gonna check if all of the fields has been written or not, right? So I'm gonna apply a condition which says if email equals to a empty string, or our password equals to empty string, or our phone value equals to empty string. Okay, then in that case we have to show, let's say, a alert message. So let's just copy the alert message from the docs. Okay, let's go to the second link and just copy a 2-button alert. Okay, let's pretty much copy this off, come back to the code, and then we're going to paste it over here. So let's import alert from React Native. Okay, and we're going to give a message which says invalid details, please fill all the details, something like this. Okay, so save the file. So let's just check it out. Okay, so let's just press on register. So there you go, that's working absolutely fine. So let's press on OK. Okay, so after that, after the if condition, we are gonna create user. Basically we're gonna say create user with email and password. So this is coming from firebase/auth, so just import it. So this is going to take in basically 3 things, that is the auth, the email with which we are registering, and the password of that particular user. Okay, so I'm going to provide 3 things to this method, that is the auth. So auth is coming from our Firebase file that we have initialized. Because we have exported it, we are going to import it over here with the help of this line. Okay, line 17. And after auth, we want the email. Okay, so email and password is stored inside of state, that is whatever the user is typing. Okay, so I'll be using that. So I'm going to say email and then password. Okay, so after this method, I'm going to use the .then method. So this is basically going to give us the user credential with which we registered. Okay, so first I'm going to say console.log. If you want to check out the user credentials, you can do that. So I'm going to say user credential is going to be user credential. Then after this, I'm going to get in the email with which, so you can actually console.log the value. So that's a huge value, which will give you like so many details. So from that, I'm going to get in the email. Okay. So I'm going to say const user equals to user credential dot underscore token response dot email. Okay, so over here by doing this line, we are getting the email with which the user has registered. So there are different ways to get it. Okay, so this is one of the way that is coming from the user credential, right? So after this, I'm gonna get in the user UID. Okay, so when the user gets registered in Firebase, Firebase provides us a unique UID. So I'm gonna get that. Okay, so it's gonna be const my user UID equals to, it's going to be basically auth dot current user dot UID. Okay, so this is the UID of that particular user. So we are going to store the users based on their UIDs. Okay, and based on their UIDs, we are gonna store all of their orders separately, right? So after doing this, I'm gonna set the user inside of our Firestore. So I'm gonna say set doc. So this is coming from Firebase Firestore. So import it like this, and this is gonna take in basically the doc. So let's import doc from Firebase Firestore, and over here I'm gonna initialize my DB, import it from Firebase, and we're gonna provide the collection we want to go into. So I wanna create a users collection. Okay, and inside the users collection, I want to create a unique ID. So for that reason, we have already that ID, that is my user UID. So I'm going to go into the DB, into the users collection, and I'm going to make use of backticks over here. So I'm going to say my user UID. Okay, so into this collection, I want to pass some data, right? So basically I want to pass the email as well as the phone number with which the user has registered, right? So I'm gonna say email is gonna be user, and phone is basically gonna be phone. Okay, so instead of user, you can even pass email as well. Okay, so we have already initialized this user over here with the help of the user credential data, whatever we got. So for that reason, I'm just passing user. You can even pass email as well. It should work, right? So I'm gonna save my file. Okay, so now let's try and register the user. Hopefully it should work. Okay, so I'm gonna write in all of our fields. Okay, some basic password and some number. Okay, we have not given, we have to see the number whatever we are typing. So let's come back to our view and secure text entry. Let's actually remove that. Okay, yeah, so you can see the number. Why am I not able to type? Okay, so I think let's press on the register button. Okay, so we have typed it over here. Yeah, so let's type in the register button and let's see what exactly should happen, right? So register. So hopefully let's check out our console. Yeah, so there you go, our user has been created, right? Okay, so let's firstly check our authentication if it has been created. So let's go to Firestore, not over here, authentication, and there you go, our first user has been created. So this is the user with which I created the user, that is by providing the email, and you can provide and they've given the created date and the signed in date, and this is the user ID I was telling about. Okay, so Firebase gives this unique user ID, and the next thing is let's check out our database if our user has been registered or not. Okay, let's just refresh for once. Okay, it has not been registered for some reason. Let's check out our console. Okay, so there is a Firebase error which says missing or insufficient permissions. Okay, let's look into that. So this is basically our user credential. Okay, so this is a huge response. So to get the email, as I told, we are going to go into the token response and get the email, and the same email I've passed it into the the method of setDoc. Let me just show you that once again. So there you go. So we're gonna go. We are gonna get the user UID, and then we're gonna go into the DB, into the users collection, main collection, and into the unique ID, and over there we're gonna pass an email as well as phone. Okay. So for some reason it's erroring out. So let's check the permissions in our you know uh, cloud firestore. So we have the data. Let's go into the rules. Okay. So I think we need to make some changes over here. So let's look into that. Okay, so allow read write if false. Okay, I think it should be true, right? So let's change that condition, and we're gonna say true. And after we do that, we're gonna say publish the rules. Yeah, so it might take a minute to work. So let's refresh this once. And meantime, so we are gonna go into our authentication, delete this user, and create again with the same user, right? So delete that and come back to the code, refresh the app and start over from the beginning. So hopefully now this time it should work, that is with the users collection being created and storing our users, right? So I'm gonna say again, run the app from the start. Okay, hopefully let's give it a try this time. Let's try to register. Oh god, again we have the same view prop types has been removed from React Native. Okay, so let's just solve this error quickly. So I'm gonna go into my node modules first, and index.js file. Firstly the React Native folder, and then index.js file, and then over here I'm gonna get in the code to paste. Okay guys, so just pasted the code. Okay, so let me just save the file and remove this out. Okay, so let's cut the server and start it again. Let's open up the export F tools. Okay, close the previous one and run on IO simulator. Okay, so let's give it one more try. So I'm gonna register the user, okay, with the same name at gmail.com, and I'm gonna give in a basic password and some random phone number. Okay, so I'm gonna press on register. Hopefully nothing should go wrong. Okay, we have no Firebase error. That means our user collection has been created. Okay, so let's go check that out. So if I just refresh this one, you can see the user has been created, that is with another unique user ID, signed in date, created on this date, and this is the user email. So if I go into my Firestore database, so there you go, the user has been created with the same unique UID, and we have the email and the phone of that particular user stored. Okay, so that's the way this works, right? So the next thing we look into is we create the function for logging in, right? So let's go do that. So that happens inside our login screen. Okay, so now let me firstly create the functions for it. So I'm gonna say const, or let's refresh the app once, or firstly let's delete the user, and after writing the login function we're gonna try it once again. Okay, so I'm gonna go over here, I'm gonna delete this user, and again I'm gonna come back over here, delete this entire collection. Okay, so after I write the login functionalities, I'm going to implement that. I mean, automatically it's going to be implemented, right? So we're going to initialize a on click event on the login. Sorry, on press, not on click. So it's going to say login. So I'm going to say const login equals to a basic arrow function. Okay, so let's open up our app first. Okay, so over here it's going to be super similar. So instead of creating user over here, we're going to say sign in with email and password. Again, this is going to take in three things: the auth, email, and password. So the auth is going to come from the Firebase file. I've imported it like this, and email and password is stored in state. So we're going to say email and password. Okay, so and again dot, then it's going to give us the user credential. Okay, so basically you're going to say console.log user credential. So we're going to say const user equals to user credential dot user, and we're going to give another message which says console.log user details, something like this. This is going to be the user. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to create is a listener to check if there is a user or not. Okay, so if there is a user, we're going to navigate him to the home screen. Else, if there is no user, we're just going to show the main login screen itself. Okay, so I'm going to say use effect, imported from React. Okay, I'm gonna run this use effect only once, so I'm just gonna provide a empty dependency array. Okay, so inside the use effect, I'm gonna say const unsubscribe equals to auth. Okay, there is a method called as onAuth state changed, so I'm gonna use that. It's gonna give us the auth user if it is there or not. So we're going to apply the condition first. Okay, we're going to say if the auth user, then what we're going to do is we're going to say navigation. Let's initialize. Okay, it's already been initialized. We're going to say navigation dot navigate to the home screen like this. Okay, after that we're going to do a little cleanup, that is return unsubscribe. Okay, so basically, yeah, I think that's it. This should work correctly, right? So we're going to save the file. So currently we are in our login screen because there is no user. Okay, so now we are gonna create a new user, and automatically we will be navigated to the main home screen. So we're gonna say come to the register screen, create a new user, put in some random password and some random numbers as such, and we're gonna press on the register button. Okay, so there you go, we have been logged into our main home screen because of this, right? So if you now check out our Firestore database, you should be again seeing the user's collection being created with this user with that UID and the details, that is email and then phone. So the same thing goes for authentication as well. So there you go. So our user has been created with this unique user UID. Okay, so the next thing we're going to implement is basically, let's come back to our, you know, okay, so if I refresh and open up again, so you can see that for a second or two you can see the login screen showing up. Okay, because basically for that particular interval of time it's going to check for the auth user. Okay, if it is present, then we are going to go to the home screen. So there you go. So I'm going to show that to you again. So it's going to check for, like, let's say 1 second or 2 seconds, and then afterwards it's going to navigate us to the main home screen. Yeah, you can see the login screen for a second and then coming back to the home screen, right? So to prevent that, we'll be making use of state, that is a state of loading and set loading. So I'm going to say const loading comma set loading equals to use state of false. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is we are going to say, as soon as this use effect triggers off, I'm going to say set loading. Okay, wrong spelling. Set loading to be true. Okay, and after this has been completed, we are going to say or we can actually check the condition, right? If the auth user is present, sorry, if there is no auth user, we can just set it to be false. Set loading to be false. Okay, so based on this loading condition, we're gonna show our UI. So pretty much save the file. Okay, I'm gonna apply the condition over here. I'm gonna say if it is loading. Okay, so if it is loading, I'm gonna show something else. I'm gonna show a basic view. Okay, so this is basically gonna have let's say a text attribute which says loading, something like this. Okay, and after that we're gonna have a activity indicator. Size is gonna be large. Let's import activity indicator from React Native. Okay, I think we can give the color attribute as well, right? We're gonna give it red for now. Okay, else if it is not loading, that means if there is no auth user, we're simply gonna show the login screen itself, right? Yes. Okay, so let me save the file and let's refresh and open it right from the beginning. So there you go, we can see that loading state, and then after that we are coming to the main home screen. Okay, so let's give some style to the view. We're going to say align items to center and justify content of center. Okay, we're going to say display of flex as well. Not display of flex, my bad, flex direction of row. Okay, so let's try it again. So it should be hopefully seen at the center part of the screen. Nope. Okay, why is that happening? I think never mind, let's give a flex of 1. Probably this should work. Yeah, there you go, it's working fine. So now for the text, we're gonna give a style, we're gonna give a margin right of 10, since it's almost touching our activity indicator. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, so the next thing we'll be doing is we will be storing all of our items. So basically we'll be creating a new collection inside of our Firebase Firestore over here, and we'll be getting all of the items from the Firebase. Okay, so let's look into that part. So now let's create a new collection inside of a Firebase. Okay, so let's head over to Firebase first, and I'm gonna create a new collection for all of our data, right? So I'm gonna say start collection. So I'm gonna give in let's say types. I'm gonna press on next. I'm gonna say generate a auto ID for me, and I'm gonna save. Okay, so as you can see, our types collection has been created. So for each of the collection, for each of the ID that has been created, we're gonna set some document fields. Okay, so I'm gonna say ID. It's gonna be in the form of string. I'm gonna say a value of 0. So let's add that out, and pretty much I'm gonna copy whatever is there inside of our services array, right? So the next thing we have is the image. So let's pretty much copy the image, and I'm going to say add field. Field is going to be image, type is string, the value is whatever I've copied. Press on add. Okay, so the next thing we have is shirt. Okay, so the name, we're going to say name, it's going to be of type string, and we're going to say shirt. Okay, so the next thing we have is basically the quantity and price. Okay, so we're going to say quantity, it's going to be a type of number, it's going to be 0, and the next thing is price, it's going to be of number again, it's going to be 10. So let's add that also. So there you go. For this document we have 5 fields, that is ID, image, name, price, quantity. Okay, so we're going to create the second one. We're going to say add document, again generate auto ID for me, and then save it. Okay, so I'm gonna say ID, string of let's say 1, add, again we're gonna say image. Okay, so let's pretty much copy the second image, and paste it over here. Then we basically have the name attribute. Let's check out the name. So it's gonna be a t-shirt. So we're gonna say t-shirt like this and add. The next attribute is the quantity. It's going to be of type number. Let's hit 0 and then add. Okay, so the final one is price of number. It's going to be 10. Okay, add. So like this, similarly I'll be creating all of the fields. Okay, let's say we have 5 more items, so I'm gonna do that and get back. Okay guys, I just created all of the required fields. Okay, so you can check it out. So basically I've just copied all of the data that is present inside of our services array, right? So yes, so now let's use this collection and render our data instead of the dummy data that we're using currently. Okay, so for that, let's come back to our use effect and let's make some changes. Okay, so first of all, this is gonna be a async function. Okay, and let's remove all of this. So firstly, I'm gonna get the reference for our column. So I'm gonna say column ref equals to collection. This is coming from a Firestore. So I'm gonna target which collection I am referring to. Okay, so for that it takes 2 parameters. One is the DB. So DB is gonna come from Firebase, from a Firebase file. So import it like this. Okay, and even import collection. And after that, the second thing is the collection we are referring to. That is basically the types, right? Because we have created this collection named types. So for that reason, I'm providing types. So the next thing is we're gonna get the snapshot. So I'm gonna say const docs snap equals to await get docs. Okay, imported from Firebase / Firestore. And for this, it's going to take in the reference to the column. So we have already created that on line number 101, that is column ref. So we're going to provide that over here. Okay, so now everything is stored inside of doc snap. So we'll be mapping through it and getting the data which we want. So I'm going to say doc snap dot for each so for each doc I'm going to create a state. Okay, so firstly I'm going to say const items comma set items equals to use state of an empty array. Okay, so basically where was that? Yeah, over here I'm just gonna say items dot push doc dot data, whatever is there. Okay, so I'm basically doing items dot push because okay, if you try to push, if you try to do product dot push, that is where was the product that we initialized from Redux. Yeah, if you try to do product dot push, I think it's gonna give a error which says it is only read only. You can't write into it. So for that reason, I've created a new state that is items and set items, and I'm gonna push it into the items array. And after that, what we are doing is I'm gonna say items dot map for each service that is present inside of our items array. Over here I'm gonna say dispatch get products of our service. Okay, by doing this we are not writing into the products, we are just using the products inside of our application. So there you go. So other than that, it's going to be same thing, right? We're just using the product array. So I think that's it. So let's pretty much save the file. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is firstly let's console.log the product. I think it should be the same thing, right? Because we are mapping to the item. So there you go. So all of the products are being fetched from the Fire store, and I think it is already being displayed if I'm not wrong, right? So let's refresh the app and start from the beginning. Okay, so let's wait for it. So there you go. Firstly, no products are there. Yeah, I think now it's not working, right? So let's see what exactly is the problem. Expected type IA, but it was a custom EA object. Okay, so let's look into this. Oh, okay, my bad. So this should have been get docs. Instead of get doc, it should be get docs. Save the file. There you go. Okay, so as you can see, we are able to see all of our products. This are coming from our Firebase Fire store. So the one mistake which we made was we had written get doc instead of get docs. Okay, so yeah, I think all of the data has been fetched from our Firestore database, and as you can see, everything is working absolutely correctly. So proceed to pick up, select any one of the day like this, and proceed to cart. Okay, so now if I press on the place order button, we should go into the user UID of that particular user and store all of the details. That is basically the order details, whatever has been ordered, and we should come back to the and we should show the next screen, that is the place order screen. Okay, so we look into that part, right? Okay, so let's implement this part. Okay, so before that we need to handle our our profile screen so that we can navigate back to the login screen. That is basically the functionality for sign out. Okay, so let's implement that. So firstly let me refresh my app and start it out right from the start, and let's go back to my home screen where we have the profile. Okay, so that is our image. Where did that go? This one. So I think we have not created yet a profile screen, so let's create a profile screen first, right? So I'm gonna go to the screens folder. So I'm gonna say profile screen .js, then rnfes to get the shorthand snippet. So I'm gonna initialize my profile screen inside my stack navigator. So I'm gonna say stack.screen. Okay, so the name is gonna be profile. Okay, and let's import our profile screen from our screens folder as such, like this. Save the file and let's come back to my home screen, and I guess navigation is initialized already. Use navigation. Yeah, it is initialized. Okay, so now let's initialize the onPress function on the pressable where we have the image. We're going to say onPress, taking a function, and we're going to say navigation.navigate to the screen name. So inside a stack navigator we have given the screen name as profile, so I'm going to say profile over here. So pretty much save a file. Let's press on the profile. So we are coming to the profile screen. So let's make use of a basic safe area view like this. Okay, so the design for this screen is going to be super simple. You can explore out more and add some designs for yourselves. And okay, I've used a safe area view instead of a view. So over here basically I'm gonna create two pressables. One for the user and one for the sign out button. So this is basically gonna say sign out, and this text is gonna say welcome the username. Okay, we'll do that part in just a bit. Can't find pressable. Okay, so that's cool. So now what we're gonna do is, so basically we're gonna give some style to the safe area view. I'm gonna say a flex of 1, and I'm gonna say justify content of center and align items of center. So there you go. So firstly let's try to access the user. So that's very easy to do that. So I'm gonna say const user equals to, I'm gonna say auth imported from the Firebase file auth.current user. So this will give you the current user at that particular time. So we're gonna say welcome. To access the email, it's gonna be user.email. So that's my email that I'm currently logged in with. So for the style of the pressable, just some margin vertical, that's it, of 10. Okay, so let's initialize a function for sign out. So I'm gonna say sign out user. Okay, let's initialize this function right at the top. So const sign out user, basic arrow function. We're gonna say sign out imported from the Firebase auth. That's the method we're going to use, and this method is going to take in the auth that is already initialized. That means it has already been imported from the Firebase file, and after doing that I'll be making use of the .then method. So after sign out we will be sending the user to the login screen. So I'm going to say navigation. Let's initialize my navigation first. I'm going to say const navigation equals to use navigation imported from React navigation. I'm going to say navigation dot replace to the main home screen, login screen. And if there is any error, we're going to catch it. I'm going to say catch of error. Basically for now I'm just going to say console.log of error. Okay, so that's it. So hopefully this should work out. So there you go, we are coming to the login screen. Let's try to log in. Okay, I'm gonna give in my name, the password with which I created, and come to the login screen. So there you go. Okay, so that part is working fine. So now we are gonna store the orders that is whatever the user has ordered, into our Firebase database, right? So firstly, let's create one more reducer inside our cart reducer, that is clean cart. So I'm going to say clean cart. It's going to basically access just the state like this, and I'm going to say state.cart equals to empty array. Okay, and let's import this as well, that is clean cart. Okay, so after importing this, that is clean cart, okay, so after exporting that, we are going to come back to our cart screen. That is where the implementation is going to be done. So let's pretty much add some of our products. Okay, so proceed to pickup. Let's add in some date like this. Okay, and proceed to cart, right? So where we have our button, let's initialize on press event on that. That is, let's come over here. Where did that go? Yeah, this one. So I'm gonna say on press place order. Okay, so before this, I'm gonna create a order screen so that we can use it inside of our function. So I'm gonna say order screen.js, then rnfes. Let's initialize our order screen inside of our stack navigator. So I'm gonna say stack.screen, name is gonna be order, component order screen, header shown false again. Let's import our order screen from our screens folder, save this file. Okay, let's come back to our cart screen and initialize this function at the top and define it. So I'm gonna say const place order equals to async function. Okay, so here we'll be writing the functionality. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is I'm going to say navigation dot navigate to the order screen, and we're also going to dispatch the clean cart, because after doing this we want all of this to get empty, right? So I'm going to say dispatch clean cart. So it's just going to be a function. Okay, no payload for this. And after this, I'm gonna say await. So now we are gonna store the orders inside of the Firebase. I'm gonna say await set doc, imported from Firebase / Firestore like this. It's gonna take in the doc basically. Okay, so let's import even this from Firebase / Firestore, and over here we are gonna provide in the DB imported from Firebase file that we have created. So here we are going to refer to which collection, the users collection. And firstly, let me get my user UID. Okay, so I'm going to say const user equals to auth imported from Firebase dot current user dot UID. Okay, so the way we do this is we are going to go into the users collection, and after that go into the UID of that particular user, because we have created already the users collection based on the user UID while registering the users, right? So I'm gonna go into my let's give it a different name. Let's say user UID. So I'm gonna say user UID. Okay, and after going over here, I'm gonna basically put in whatever we want to insert. That is basically the orders we want to say. So orders is basically stored inside of our cart, right? I'm gonna basically spread the value and I'm gonna say cart. And the next thing we want is the pickup details. So pickup details, if you would remember, okay, it's coming from the pickup screen because we are passing some data, right? So it's gonna be stored inside of our root params. So I'm gonna say root dot params for this. Okay, and the next thing we will be looking is so if you remember inside of our Firebase, we already have something, right? Some data stored inside of the UID, that is the email and phone. And we are again pushing some data into it, that is the orders and the pickup screen. So apart from this, what I want to do is I'm gonna say merge equals to true. Okay, so I basically want to merge these two details, that is orders and pickup details, with my email and phone, so that it is considered as one single document with all of those document fields. Okay, so that's it. So pretty much let me save the file. Okay, nothing should go wrong hopefully. And if I place the order, we should be navigated to the order screen, dispatch the clean cart, and we are going to set the orders. So let's give that a try. Okay, we have gone to the order screen, and let's check out our Firebase. So there you go. So all of the orders and the pickup details, the number of days, pickup date, and selected time has been pushed into our Firebase database for this particular user. So I think that's it. So that's the way this thing works. Okay, so the next thing we'll be looking into is we'll be designing our order screen. Okay, so let's get into this part. Okay, so now I have again added some items into the cart. Okay, so that we can see the animation inside of our order screen. So for that animation, we'll be making use of Lottie React Native. So let me go to my terminal, and I'm gonna say clear, and I'm gonna install that. Okay, yarn add Lottie React Native. Okay, so this should install this correct dependency so that we can start using our animations, right? So it has been installed. Okay, so let's refresh the app and start it from the beginning. Okay, and just to check it out, you can check out the package.json. Where did that go? Yeah, it has been installed, and I've created two files inside of my assets folder, that is the sparkle.json file and the thumbs.json file, which I'll be sending in the link in the description below. You can check that out. So these two files are required for our animation purpose. Okay, so firstly, okay, again we have the same kind of error. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go into my node modules folder. Okay, into my index.js file, firstly React Native folder and then index.js file. I'm just gonna paste the required code over here. Okay, so I've just pasted the code, save the file, and I'm gonna cut the server down. I'm gonna start it right from the beginning. So expose start again. Okay, let's open up our DevTools on Chrome, and I'm gonna run on IO simulator. So now inside our order screen, we are gonna initialize our safe area view, right? Okay, so now the app has opened up. So we are gonna add, let's say, some items to the cart and select some details over here and then proceed to cart. Okay, so now we are gonna initialize our safe area view inside our order screen instead of the view. So after this, I'm going to initialize my Lottie view. Not animated Lottie view, just Lottie view, and it is a self-closing tag component like this. Let's import just Lottie view. Okay, so this is going to take something called as a source, of course, to show the animation. So as I told, we have our two files inside of our assets, that is sparkle and JSON. So I'll be getting that over here, that is require, go into the assets folder. Why is it erroring out? I think we need to, yeah, I think we need to give just a single braces. Okay, let's start it from the beginning. We're gonna say require, go into the assets folder and select the thumbs.json. So this is the source we are giving. So the next thing is we're going to give it some style as well. We're going to say a height of 360, a width of let's say 300, and align self of center, a bit of margin top 40, and then justify content of center. Okay, let me just format it once. So there you go. Okay, so after that, let's say we have a text which says your order has been placed. So we're gonna give some style, let's say a margin top of 40, and some font size of 19, and we have the spelling of style is wrong, that's the reason I'm not getting the suggestion. So font weight of let's say 600, and we're gonna say text align of center. Okay, so the next thing is we have a second one as well, that is sparkle animation. So I'm gonna again import Lottie view like this. Okay, so copy this source down, and instead of thumbs it's gonna be sparkle.json. Okay, and for this as well we have some style that we're gonna give it. We're gonna say a height of let's say 300, and a position of absolute, and some top value of 100, some width of again 300, that is of the height, and align self of center. Okay, so the next thing we're going to give is some of the options to the Lottie view, that is we're going to say autoplay, we're going to say loop equals to false, and we're going to give some speed as well, let's say 0.7. So the same piece of options we're going to give it to the second Lottie view as well. Okay, so you can check that out. Save the file. So if I press on place order, all of this should be stored inside of Firebase. Okay, attempted to assign read only property. Why is that happening? Okay, so now if I press on the place order button, hopefully we should be seeing the animation. So let's check that out. Okay, can't find variable width of 100, 300. Why is that? Let's check the, okay, we have not added the colon, right? Okay, so now if I press on the place order button, hopefully we should be seeing the animation. So let's check that out. And there you go. We can see that animation with this message which says your order has been placed, and we can see all of the data inside of Firebase as previously shown. Okay, so yeah, I think that's it about this project. You can actually initialize button over here to come back to the main screen or something like that. Okay, and I think yeah, that's it about this project. So let's see you in the next one, and then thank you for watching.